After 11 seasons with the Washington Wizards, it finally seems like Bradley Beal might actually get a trade. And this is the first time that traction is happening that Bradley Beal and the Washington front office are actually like leaning towards a trade. And honestly, this is a really good thing because like Bradley Beal is wasting all of his prime years with the Wizards and they pretty much aren't going anywhere. I mean, yes, they had a couple of solid playoff runs with John Wall, but then after John Wall got hurt, they really were in the worst spot to be in the NBA, right in the middle, not making the playoffs and having like the 10th to like 12th pick, which didn't really get them any solid draft picks. So I think it's time for the Wizards to officially blow it up and hopefully can get a Bradley Beal trade done. And Bradley Beal has really emerged as a top scorer in the NBA after the John Wall injury, and of course he's going to have a lot of suitors. The last couple years, he's been putting up crazy stats. He led the NBA in scoring one year. He averaged 30 points a game twice in the last 5 seasons. But like I said, he's just been on this really mediocre team that really hasn't made any noise. And he, of course, last season signed the Supermax with the no trade clause, which at the time everyone thought was a bad move because, first, Bradley Beal isn't worth the Supermax, but second, like, Bradley Beal has all of the flexibility he wants in a trade. And of course, there's no, like, bad tension between the Wizards and Bradley Beal. Like, it's not like a James Harden Rockets situation, but like still, Bradley Beal has has a say in whatever he wants to do, and that really limits the Wizards' trade possibilities. So it's gonna be really interesting. Now we've seen Shams and Woj both report that both sides are willing to negotiate in a trade, and I think it's really interesting. I mean, a couple years ago, everyone's been saying, oh, trade Bradley Beal when you know that this Wizards team isn't doing anything. Like, they traded for Russ that one year and they made the 8th seed. They won one game in the playoffs. Like, this Wizards team really wasn't getting anywhere. And a lot of people, I would say, including me, pretty much said that trade Bradley Beal when he has the highest trade value. When he's averaging 30 points a game, you could have traded him to, like, I don't know, like, I remember there was a possibility to the Nuggets for like Jamal Murray or like a combination like Michael Porter Jr. and picks. And now Bradley Beal's trade, pretty much his trade value is a lot less. I mean, he's of course older. He's an older guard, which isn't really the best sign. He's on this huge contract now, which of course is an overpay, and he has that no trade clause still. So I still think that Bradley Beal is of course an amazing player, but like we're not gonna get that like Donovan Mitchell S trade package for Bradley Beal. And right now, there's been reported that there's been 2 main options reported to get Bradley Beal: the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns. And one of them makes total sense, and one of them doesn't make sense. First, starting off with the Suns, I just don't get it. I mean, first of all, for the trade, they don't have any picks. They traded it all for Kevin Durant. And then DeAndre Ayton really isn't that much of an enticing asset anymore. Of course, he has all the physical tools in the world, but like, from what we've seen in this team with the Suns, he just doesn't have that drive. This playoff run, he really just wasn't good. He got torched by Jokic. The intensity wasn't there. And of course, I personally believe in DeAndre Ayton a lot. I still think if he has a better situation where he's getting fed the ball more, where he has like a really good point guard, like with the Pacers, I think that'd be a really good fit. But like, he just hasn't really shown. Like I said, he has all the physical abilities. He's 7 foot, really buff, but just he hasn't really shown it, and he doesn't have that like trade value, even for Bradley Beal. And like, it's just a weird fit on the court if the Suns get him. I mean, pretty much the Suns need defense, depth, some other players that can step up. We saw in this playoff run, we saw Kevin Durant and Devin Booker pretty much average like 70 points per game, and they still pretty much lost to the Nuggets in convincing fashion. And like, Chris Paul, of course, got hurt. DeAndre Ayton was a non-factor. But like, this Suns team really needs just this depth. They don't need another shot creator that's gonna score in the mid-range again. I mean, Bradley Beal, I would say, is a decent 3-point shooter, but like, his main stuff is scoring in the mid-range, getting to the basket. And you already have 2 of the best players in the league that can really do that: Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And like, the firepower of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker is already, I would say, an excessive amount. Of course, it's a good thing, that it's a good problem to have, but like, if you add another shocker that's gonna need shots, that's gonna ISO, not really be an off-ball player, this Suns team really does not need that at all. They need more quality role players, a solid big man, players that can just catch and shoot, players that just gonna defend. Bradley Beal is, I would say, an average defender, and there's no way he's gonna help. And if you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal as your best players, of course the offensive fire is gonna be very impressive. Like, the defense isn't gonna be there. And we've seen over the last couple years that these offensive-minded teams simply just don't work. The Mavericks last year, the Big Three Nets that go all in on offense, they say, okay, defense, it's just gonna be average, and it doesn't work. I mean, the last championship teams, yes, the Nuggets, I wouldn't say was like an elite defensive team, but they really stepped it up in the playoffs. The Warriors, a top 3 defense. The Celtics last year, top 2 defense. And like, this Suns team really needs to just build it out. We saw that the Big Three doesn't work anymore. I mean, these Big Threes, that yes, you have all the big names, but like, especially if they're not good on both ends, it simply just doesn't work. So for the Suns, I really hate the move. I really hope that doesn't happen. But like, switching gears to the Heat, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, the Heat just made the NBA Finals, and we saw the lack of shot creation really costing them. Like, yes, they of course made it all the way to the finals, but they really predicated on Jimmy Butler being a star, and then him kicking it out to shooters who shot like above 40%. Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Kevin Love, all shot at really high levels from 3. And like, of course, Tyler Hero was injured, so they lost their main shot creator. But like, Bradley Beal, I think would be a perfect fit. Like I said, he's not really a good defender, but like, in this Heat culture, I think he can be an average defender or not be that liability that he has been, I would say, for the last couple of years. But like, just having that another shot creator, we saw in the finals, Jimmy Butler really struggled, and they just struggled to put up points. I would say the Nuggets defense was solid, but like, they just couldn't get above 100 points. And if you do that, and you can't really stop the Nuggets offense, they aren't gonna win that series. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. Now for the trade package, there's been reports that they really want to make this deal without Tyler Hero. Maybe like a combination of Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, a couple picks, and I think that is possible. But like, if you do get Bradley Beal, I think that Tyler Hero is a little bit redundant. Like, they're both shot creators that are average to below average on defense, and maybe you can have Tyler Hero as a 6-man, but like, this roster is also pretty expensive too, and you have those like pretty much 4 max contracts: Jimmy max, Bam max, Tyler Hero max, Bradley Beal max. Like, that's not really a recipe that you want. I don't think Tyler Hero fits as well if Bradley Beal is on this team. So personally, I think it would also make the trade more likely. Tyler Hero is still a solid trade asset that I'm sure the Wizards would be pretty excited for. Definitely more excited than DeAndre Ayton, because like, if you put Tyler Hero with like a bunch of scrubs and you're tanking, I'm sure he can average like 25 to like 26 points a game, which is pretty solid. And so I think that the Heat definitely makes a lot of sense. They're definitely the favorites to get Bradley Beal. They've been the favorites for a couple years now. Of course, Bradley Beal's loyal, but like, this Heat team needs this shot creator, whether that's like Damian Lillard. And they have the assets. They have pretty much all their draft picks. They have Tyler Hero. They have contracts, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry. And they, of course, Miami's a big market name, and then playing with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo is definitely really enticing. And then I've also seen reports that the Warriors are trying to get into this. I don't really get it. I mean, like, you already have the shot creation of Curry. I don't know if you're... I mean, I would assume you want to trade Jordan Poole in the deal, but like, you really don't really need that for the Warriors. I mean, I'm sure another shot creator would be cool, but like, there's some other stuff they have to prioritize, like maybe getting a better stretch center, maybe getting more depth, more role players to build around Curry, re-sign Draymond Green. Like, I would say there's more priorities for the Warriors than to get those big names. So these Bradley Beal trade rumors are definitely getting spicy, and of course I would say the Heat are the favorites to get him, but like, maybe a curveball, maybe like the Sixers or like the Bucks come in and they magically make this move and they go all in for Beal. But like, it's interesting. I would say that Bradley Beal, I think he's like 30, above 30, so the timeline isn't really there for Beal, but I'm really interested to see how this trade will go down. So that being said, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on next time.